Welcome to the Recruiting Scoop on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook. We got Justin Wells. Justin, last weekend was shoot your shot as far as official visits go. What are you calling this weekend?
This weekend is get your closer warmed up in the bullpen. Turn on the coffee pot. It's time to close some guys. If you listen to Semisonic, it's closing time. All right, so that's what this weekend's about. And granted, there are going to be some of those thrown in the mix next weekend. That's another big weekend that we'll preview and all that fun stuff. But this weekend, there are a handful of guys, and we're going to talk about them, that Texas is this close to getting in this class. So this weekend is about putting on some coffee, ABCs, always be closing.
We'll go into some of the most important players making their way to Austin this week. Some have already flown in, some are driving in. And this guy, most likely driving in, but we'll see. Felix Ojo, 5-star offensive tackle up from Mansfield. We've talked so much about him. It's hard to know what else to say. We know Michigan. We know Ohio State. We know Oklahoma is not involved.
Yes.
But we know Texas has felt very good about this recruitment. And this is an opportunity for the Longhorns to, like you said, maybe close the door on that ninth inning.
Absolutely. And for all of our trusty members and readers, we've got a preview about this at InsideTexas.com if you want to check it out. Lots of good stuff. I started with Felix Ojo for a reason. Number one tackle on the board, biggest 5-star, probably the most important, I think, recruit outside of Diabell in this cycle for Texas. And when you get a Diabell, you have to get a Felix Ojo. That's the blind side. You got to get that. And like you said, we've talked about this. Well, Ojo just planted that kid into the stands. Okay. He just bought that kid a ticket for himself. Felix Ojo just in Texas makes so much sense. I think they've been leading since around January. Now they've been doing this song and dance for almost 2 years. We've seen him on campus a number of times. He even popped in under the radar a little bit back in April to watch a scrimmage and to hang out. But he wanted to be thorough. His family's real smart. They wanted to enjoy the recruiting process. And so that's why they took visits to Florida, which they really liked, and Michigan and those schools. And so, but at the end of the day, man, this one screams Texas. And I felt like once they let him know he was a priority, and I want to say that was around January, February, that's when this thing started really sliding burnt orange. Again, other schools have made some strong pushes, but he just watched Kelvin Banks go, number 9 in the draft, and he understands there's an order there. You know, he's watched in scrimmage the entire time in April. Trevor Gooseby. Like, Felix is planning this stuff out. He's pragmatic. He knows what his future holds. He knows it's probably on the 40 acres. This is the weekend, like I said. I made the comment earlier, you know, Texas staff hit a home run here. They just have to close it now. And that's when I start hearing Mariano Rivera's music.
We can't play Enter Sandman unless we want to pay $1 million to Metallica.
I know,
so can't get that going. But you know, I
wish we could play Norco, the Narco, the song for Edwin Diaz for the Mets. I don't know if you've ever seen that entrance or that song, but my goodness, that's better than what Rivera has.
We'll have our top closer song power rankings in a later video. But I had a conversation with our Charlie Williams, who I don't think anybody has covered this recruitment better than him.
No.
And I had to remind him about this time last year, Ojo was ranked in the 200s by a lot of the services. And he has risen up into the top 10, right behind basically Jackson Cantwell as far as tackles go in the 2026 class. And he was motivated to achieve that ranking. And there's only so much you can do. Granted, he had that 2024 season to get there, doing the things you see on tape on your screen right now. But this is someone who not only knew how good he was, proved how good he was, and proved it to every college, including Texas. We'll see how the Longhorns knock it out this weekend.
He had a fabulous offseason. His camp run was dominant. Anytime you saw this kid at a camp and you saw him competing one-on-one, going through drills, he was winning every rep. That is one of the other reasons. He took it on himself. He saw that number 200 ranking. He took an insult to that, and that self-motivation has got him where he's at.
Next guy we're talking about from the state of Georgia has a little bit of a positional versatility. Justin, you'll like this. I had to scroll past some basketball highlights to get him on the screen.
There.
That is Xavier Griffin out of Gainesville. And he's not on the Packers. He's not on Georgia, even though you see that G, not playing for Grambling, not playing for Gilmer. He's playing for Gainesville. And fun fact, I'm pretty sure Gainesville, Texas also uses that same G. But Gainesville, Georgia, 5-star in the 2026 class. Texas is going to have their opportunity this weekend for one of the best defenders in the country.
I'll give you another one. Grossbeck. There's plenty of them that use that G. But I got to tell you something. Xavier Griffin is a real-life G. This dude plays like a gangster. Like, look, I know he's listed at linebacker, but this kid is an edge. Alan Clark has been tremendous in this recruitment, really getting them involved, getting them on campus. When we saw him back in April with his mother, that was his first time he'd ever been to Austin. He really liked it, but he didn't say a whole lot. You know, he kind of kept things close to the vest. It was all kind of new to him. But then he wanted to take more visits, and USC, which he was committed to, decided, we don't like that. So they were foolish, and they let this dude go. Well, now he's been taking trips. Here's the key. There was some major buzz coming out of that unofficial from Austin. Since then, Alabama and Georgia have surged in this recruitment, especially Alabama. I believe there's even a handful of RPM picks for Bama. That's the school I think Texas is really battling. Where they got him in that weekend in April, they need to go back. That's kind of show him exactly how he's going to be a fit. Show him how it's going to work. One of the biggest things I think for him was being able to see guys like Colin Simmons and Trey Moore and Ethan Burke and kind of see those guys work off the edge and understand that's probably one of the strongest positions in all of college football, and it's in Austin. And so he would definitely get the coaching he needs. He's 6'4". He's 16 years old. He has a size 16 shoe. Kid's got upside out the wazoo. But like I said, they're going to have to battle Bama and Georgia. They're going to have to fight off some of those guys. This weekend will tell us a lot where this recruitment is, because I believe he has a decision either later this month or early in July.
One of the players we're going to talk about later, in the recruiting world, this has become common. A lot of kids get talked and told, you're going to be the next Travis Hunter. And it usually relates to the two-way guys and things like that. But it seems like kids are the pitch that Texas has where they can tell kids you're going to become the next Colin Simmons.
Yes.
Is resonating. Maybe not as strong quite yet, because let's be honest, Travis Hunter is who he is. But it could be on the way there soon enough.
No, that's right. That's what it is, kind of. Look, I think they saw last year. This 26 group is basing it off what they saw with Texas last year. They saw the edge production. They saw Colin become freshman of the year. They saw the best defense in the country. They want to be a part of that. There's something to that. It's funny because people think kids go to Texas for the scoring and Sark and the quarterbacks, and the truth is is just as much on the other side of the football. And so, again, they're going to have to fight off a couple big schools for this kid in the Southeast region. He's going to play in the SEC. But this is the weekend to do it. You know, with a lot of guys, I think they're close to closing a handful. With Griffin, I think they're trying to tread water, because this is gonna continue to be a battle. And so, Griffin, Colin Simmons effect is going to have residuals. You're going to see that over the next year or two, and that's what Texas needs to do: maximize that, because Colin's a freak and he's absolute fun to watch.
I hope that play from his highlights where he makes that touchdown saving tackle, that's my favorite type of huddle play.
This is it.
No, it was on a couple of minutes ago. But that's my favorite.
Saved that one. Play. Like, Griffin's a freak, guys. There's a reason he's the number two linebacker in the country. I don't know why people see him as a linebacker. He didn't play it in high school, and he doesn't have the body frame for it in college. But we don't make those decisions. We just go along. Maybe it's just because he's 205 right now. Got plenty of room to grow. As you said, that size 16 shoe. That says a lot right there. Before we keep going, got to show some love to our sponsor, that is Luxe Kitchen and Bath.
This video is brought to you by Luxe Kitchen and Bath. Luxe has been offering high-end kitchen and bathroom remodels for 3 generations throughout the greater Austin area. With 5-star review after 5-star review on Google and Facebook, and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, you can put your faith in Luxe Kitchen and Bath's award-winning designers and skilled craftspeople to bring to life that dream vision of your special home. But that's not all. Luxe's all-star team provides full remodels, large additions, and even commercial build-outs as well. So call Luxe Kitchen and Bath at 833-358-LUXE today. Or visit luxekitchenbath.com to discover where quality meets luxury and begin the process of transforming your home. Get a free quote today by calling 833-358-LUXE. That's Luxe. Or by visiting luxekitchenbath.com. Link in the description.
Speaking of the Travis Hunter effect, Jalen Lott. This is a player that Texas has done a great job to really sell and tell him what he wants to hear about playing on his preferred side of the football. And Chris Jackson getting involved has really helped the Longhorns in this pursuit.
Yeah, for the longest, I thought this kid was going to be a corner. And it's because when you watched his corner tape, you're like, oh, my God, okay, that's an instant impact corner type kid. That's a future star over there. But Jalen Lott likes to have options. I mean, don't we all? We like options. Jalen Lott just wants options. He may wind up at corner. He could play wide receiver. He's going to high jump if he winds up in Austin. I know that. He told us that later this week. But Jalen Lott, he's a special kid, not just because he's got ties to the program with his father, James Lott, who's in the UT Hall of Fame. Jalen is a quiet assassin, okay? Like, he doesn't talk much. He doesn't say much. He's not arrogant or cocky in any form or fashion. He's just confident. He goes out there. He does the job. He is what Texas looks for every cycle, not only on the field, but in the locker room. This is a culture kid, culture builder. This is why I think, and honestly, when Oregon kind of got some of that momentum back in the spring, I think what really sold him was kind of being more open about wide receiver, but also saying, look, you can create your own culture here. Like, you can be a part of it here. And you can do it close to home. I know his dad hasn't been pressuring him about where he wants to play. You know, he wants his son to make, the best decision for him. But to see his son wearing that burnt orange, it's got to mean something. And this is a kid that I think they could become close to closing. I really do. He's got a date, July 4th. There's 4 or 5 other guys that are going to handle that on July 4th. So that's going to be a fun day in the recruiting world. It could be a lot of fun for the Longhorns, matter of fact. This weekend is just I asked Jalen, what was one thing, he'd been to Austin 100 times, what was one thing he wanted to see this weekend? He just says, I want to see where I'm the best fit at on what's either side of the ball, what would be my best fit in Austin. He's gotten close to the staff. He's gotten close to some of the other players and some of the recruits. Don't forget, this guy balled out in high school with Parker Livingstone and Dalen McCutcheon, both wide receivers on the Texas roster at one point. And so there's some comfortability there. There's some familiarity there. I think Jalen Lott in Texas makes a lot of sense. The Oregon stuff in the spring definitely triggered a lot of alarms and I think spooked a lot of people. And they're going to, because we know how Oregon operates. They recruit at a high level and they bag at an even higher level. But right now, I think Texas has the lead here. I think they're trending. I think this weekend is going to be big because he's got one more OV. It's in Oregon next weekend. And so this is the weekend of the foundation for Texas to let them know how much they need him, how much they want him, how much they desire, and time to close him.
One big thing to take note of or to track, if you will, Jalen Lott is an accomplished high jumper. He plans to do that in college, I believe, right, Justin?
Right. That's what we said. I said that earlier. Like, he told us Texas is giving him that option. If he chooses Texas, he will also be a member of the track team in Austin, which I believe his father did the exact same thing.
Edric Floreal, oddly enough, they're up in Oregon competing at the men's national championships this weekend. So may not be able to meet with the track coaches. They're trying to help Texas.
He's met that coach 100 times already. Yeah, I promise you. He's part of the recruitment.
He knows what's going on with Coach Flo. So that will be a part of it. Accomplished high jumper, probably the event he will do in college. Does a lot for that Panther Creek track team. And, hey, Oregon's got a track program too, but it helps that Texas is giving that full, more complete sell there for the Longhorns here. Got to talk about one more guy. That is Brayden Rouse he's from Marietta Kell, correctly? Does that sound right? Outside the Georgia area, outside of the Atlanta area, I believe. And
him and Griffin are Peach State guys.
I don't know if we've given anybody the must-get designation yet. Maybe Diabell, but kind of retroactively. But proactively, I think Brayden Rouse fits the must-get mold.
If you asked Eric Narlene, our trusty pilot, he would tell you this is a must-get kid. And I think you and I talked about this, I think, during Thursday's live show. Dude, you're not going to find better linebacker tape in the country. You're just not. There's a couple cats out in California that track and smack, but, dude, Brayden Rouse is legit. How Georgia's going to let this kid get out of state is beyond me. This is a dude that just absolutely – you know what it reminds me of? Dalton Santos. But more athletic. Understand, Dalton Santos he brought violence to football fields on Friday nights. Fear, criminality, and violence. Brayden Rouse is on that route, okay? Like, this dude just really plays well. He knows the position, and you and I have talked about this. The inside linebacker position is one of the hardest to fill in college because kids just don't play the traditional linebacker the way it's used to be played. They're not used to it. It's not as downhill as it used to be. You're trying to find those guys. It's essential, I think, to compete in the SEC, to stop the run and things of that sort. But Brayden Rouse can do that. Now, they're going to have to beat Tennessee, and they're going to have to beat Michigan. I think you could probably put them over Michigan right now, even though I believe they were the last team he went to see for an OV. Tennessee's the one that's been in this recruitment the longest. That's what the other UT is what the Horns are going to have to battle for this kid. But look, the Horns have his attention. Like, Brayden Rouse, as soon as he got that offer, what did he do? He set his official visit. Like, it was no him hauling around. He got straight to the point. He sees Anthony Hill Jr. He sees Leona LaFau. He sees the growth of Ty Anthony Smith. He sees Jalen Ford getting drafted. He sees guys coming in and being impactful at that spot. And plus, you and I also mentioned about this is one that we need. Johnny Nansen, I think, needs a big win here. I think this would be huge, especially in the area that this kid's from. And so Rouse, again, if you have a few minutes, go watch this kid's huddle. Man, he just I'm telling you, man, that play right there just proved my point. Brayden Rouse, I'm with you, Joe. If Eric was with us, he would call him a must-get. If this is the floor at linebacker, which it's not, this would be your ceiling. But my goodness, with him and a Kosiak Pala, that right there would be an unbelievable duo in the class of 2026.
He's already wearing orange, playing for the Kell Longhorns. We'll see if how much of his wardrobe he really has to change. Kind of a grab bag to get out of here. Samari Matthews, Aiden Krempin, Hez Kent. Anybody else who catches your eye this weekend?
Dre Quinn. I'd like to see them make an impression on him like they did. You talked to him after his unofficial. That's a big, long drink of water, man. I'm curious about him being on campus. A few others as well, but hey, that's what InsideTexas.com is for, so come see us. There's not a better time to join. We told you June was going to be crazy. It's even crazier now. Last weekend, we didn't know if there were going to be any commitments. We knew that, they looked good for a few. 4 drop. Wasn't it 4 that dropped last weekend?
Right? 5 in the aftermath.
That's right. 5. No. They get credit for 5. And so it's going to be interesting to see if anybody drops this weekend. But the only way to know that is at InsideTexas.com.
Head to InsideTexas.com. Link is down there in the description. Of course, if anything big breaks, we're going to have it here. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And, of course, if you're listening on podcasts, thank you so much. Give us 5-star ratings, Spotify, Apple, wherever you listen. We appreciate it. And thank you for listening in the car on whatever platform you do take us in with. So, Justin, thank you. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time on the Recruiting Scoop on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel, powered by InsideTexas.com.